All right. Let's talk about TikTok. It's the app where your niece shows off her dance moves, your dad discovers filters he shouldn't, and the US government apparently loses its mind. Yes, we're talking about the potential TikTok ban in the US. A move that's got everyone from tech giants to your grandma who just figured out how to like a video talking. The main issue, whether TikTok, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, poses a national security threat. The US government seems to think so, waving around concerns about data privacy like a teenager with their first driver's license. They're worried that the Chinese government could force ByteDance to hand over American users' data. You know, those hilarious dance videos and that questionable choice of karaoke song. Of course, TikTok denies this, claiming they protect user data like it's a winning lottery ticket, but the US isn't buying it, pointing to China's track record of, shall we say, creative data practices. It's a classic case of, he said, she said, with the fate of an app and the data of millions hanging in the balance. So, is the US government overreacting, or are they onto something? Are we all just pawns in a geopolitical chess game played with our dance videos? Buckle up, folks, because this is one wild ride through the world of data, censorship, and the future of the internet. Let's get real for a second. Every time you like, share, or even just on the internet, you're leaving a digital trail. And yes, that includes your TikTok activity. The question is, who's watching? The US government is particularly concerned about TikTok's Chinese ownership, specifically because of China's 2017 National Intelligence Law. This law requires Chinese companies to cooperate with the government on intelligence matters. Now, imagine a scenario where the Chinese government demands user data from ByteDance. Could they refuse? It's a bit like asking a goldfish to climb a tree, possible but highly unlikely. And that's where the fear sets in. We're talking about potentially sensitive information locations, contacts, even biometric data from those silly face filters. TikTok argues that they store US user data on American soil, separate from China. But critics argue that this data can still be accessed from China. It's like hiding your cookies on the top shelf when your roommate has a ladder, technically out of reach but not exactly secure. This debate goes beyond just one app. It raises fundamental questions about data privacy, national security, and the growing influence of Chinese tech companies in our lives. Let's talk about TikTok's algorithm, the mysterious force that decides which videos go viral and which ones get lost in the abyss. It's the digital equivalent of a casting director deciding who gets their 15 seconds of fame. But what happens when this algorithm is influenced by a government known for its strict censorship laws? We've already seen glimpses of this. Reports have surfaced of TikTok suppressing content deemed politically sensitive by the Chinese government, like videos related to the Hong Kong protests or the treatment of Uyghurs in Xinjiang. It's censorship by stealth, subtly shaping the information users see and potentially influencing their opinions. Imagine a world where your For You page is curated not just by your interests, but also by a government's agenda. It's a chilling thought, and one that has raised concerns about freedom of speech and the potential for propaganda. Critics argue that TikTok's algorithm could be used to promote China's narrative and suppress dissenting voices, effectively turning a fun, quirky app into a tool for political influence. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, China's approach to the internet. China operates what's often called a walled garden internet, tightly controlled and censored by the government. Facebook, banned. Google, also banned. They have their own versions of these platforms, carefully curated to promote the government's narrative. It's a stark contrast to the relatively free and open internet we're used to in the West. China's approach to data is also vastly different. They have a system of data localization, requiring companies to store data within China, making it easily accessible to the government. This raises concerns about surveillance and the potential misuse of personal information, so when the US government expresses concerns about TikTok, they're not just whistling Dixie. They're looking at China's track record and worrying that TikTok could be a Trojan horse, bringing China's restrictive internet practices to the US. This debate goes beyond just one app. It's a clash of ideologies, a battle for the future of the internet. Will it be open and free, or will it be fragmented and controlled? The answer, my friends, is still blowing in the digital wind.